I didn't hesitate when they asked. The amount wasn't small. 10,300 isn't something I move around casually, but the way it was framed made it feel simple. The roof needed fixing. Weather damage, timing issues, contractor availability. All practical problems, solvable ones. And I've always been good with solvable things. I transferred it the same afternoon, no conditions, no written agreement. Just a short message, let me know if anything else comes up. My mom replied with a thumbs up. My cousin sent a quick, "You're a lifesaver." That was enough at the time. It felt like participation, not in the financial sense I've helped before, but in something more physical. A house. A place where things happen, where people gather. I pictured standing there once it was done, not as a guest exactly, but not as an outsider either. I didn't say any of that out loud. I rarely do. Over the next few weeks, updates came in pieces. Photos of exposed beams, a half-finished ceiling, comments about delays, about costs creeping higher. I stayed available but not involved, answering when asked, stepping back when not. Then the tone shifted. Plans started being mentioned without details, a small gathering once everything was complete. Someone joked about finally celebrating properly. I waited for the direct invitation. It didn't come. Instead, my cousin called one evening, his voice casual in a way that didn't match the timing. "Hey, just a heads up about the housewarming," he said. "It's gonna be pretty small, mostly close family." There was a small pause after that, like he expected something from me. A reaction maybe. I said, "Got it." He filled the silence quickly. "You know how it is." I didn't ask what that meant. After we hung up, I sat there for a while, phone still in my hand. Not confused, just adjusting. Reframing something I hadn't realized I'd been assuming. A few minutes later, my mom called. "You'll understand someday," she said gently. Not defensive, not apologetic, just certain. I didn't argue. There wasn't really a place to start. "Okay," I said. That word has carried a lot for me over the years. Agreement, when I don't fully agree. Acceptance, when I don't want to complicate things. But this time, it didn't feel the same. After the call ended, I opened my laptop. Not impulsively, not angrily, just methodically. I pulled up the account I'd transferred the money into. The renovation fund. Reviewed the activity, the remaining balance, the linked permissions. Then I checked the mortgage documents. My name was there in a way I'd never fully examined before. Not primary, not central, but present. Enough to matter. Enough to carry weight. I leaned back in my chair and tried to be honest with myself about something I'd been avoiding. This wasn't about the roof. It was about access. About being included when it was useful and excluded when it wasn't. And how quietly I had agreed to that pattern. I didn't feel angry. Just finished with it. I went back to the account. There's a process for freezing funds. It's not dramatic. A few confirmations, a verification step, a final notice that access will be restricted until further review. I read everything carefully, then confirmed. Next, I contacted the lender. That part took longer. Identity checks, explanations, paperwork requests. But the reason I gave was straightforward. I no longer wished to be associated with the mortgage. They didn't ask for emotional context. Just documentation. By the time I was done, it was late. I turned my phone to silent and went to bed. I woke up to the screen lighting up. Missed calls stacked in rows. Notifications layered over each other. Messages that had started sometime early in the morning and hadn't stopped. I didn't open them right away. I got up, made coffee, let the room settle into its usual quiet before I looked. The first few messages were confused. Did something happen with the account? The contractor says payment didn't go through. Call me when you see this. Then they shifted. Why would you freeze it? We need access. This is mid-project. Pick up. There were 42 missed calls. I set the phone down and took a sip of coffee, letting the bitterness sit for a second longer than usual. By the time the door buzzer rang, I already knew who it was. It wasn't subtle. Voices carried through the intercom, layered and urgent. My cousin, my mom, someone else speaking over them. I walked over, pressed the button. "What's going on?" my cousin asked, not waiting. I didn't answer right away, just listened to the overlap, the way they were trying to reconstruct control through volume. Then I said, "I'm coming down." When I opened the building door, they were already mid-conversation, turning toward me as a unit. My mom stepped forward first. "Why would you do that?" she asked, not angrily, more like she was trying to understand a mistake. "The payment stopped," my cousin added. "The contractor walked off this morning." I nodded once. "I removed my access," I said. "And my name from the mortgage." There was a pause, not silence, just a break in their rhythm. "You can't just," he started, then stopped, recalibrating. "We're in the middle of this." "I know," I said. My mom's expression shifted, softer now. "We didn't mean to exclude you like that," she said. "It's just complicated." I didn't ask how. "I'm not part of the house," I said, keeping my voice even. "So I'm not part of the financing." It sounded simple when I said it out loud, almost obvious. "That's not what this is," she replied. But there wasn't much behind it. For a moment, no one spoke. Cars passed behind them. A neighbor walked by, barely glancing over. The world kept moving in a way that made the situation feel smaller than it probably felt to them. "Can you just reverse it?" my cousin asked finally. "At least until we figure something out." I thought about it. Not the logistics, I already knew those. The answer wasn't immediate because I wanted to be sure I wasn't slipping back into something out of habit. "I can't," I said. Which wasn't entirely about capability. It was about decision. They stood there a little longer, trying to find a different angle, a different way in. But the structure had changed. Not emotionally structurally. And that's harder to argue with. Eventually the conversation thinned out. Practical concerns replaced the urgency. Next steps, other options. I stepped back toward the door. "We'll figure it out," my mom said, more to herself than to me. I nodded. "I'm sure you will." I went back inside and closed the door. No slam. No finality. Just a boundary that, for once, didn't need explaining.